Hey guys, it's Algie,
And it's me, Nona.
and welcome to our talk show. So today we're going to talk about a really good topic today, and it's going to be about body shaming. So we're
Absolutely.
going to talk about our own experiences and our thoughts on body shaming. So my first question to you, Nona, is what is body shaming to you?
All right, so for me, body shaming is kind of like a way of thinking for, somebody else. So if you don't fit a certain body standard, so for instance, if you're not, like curvy or whatnot, and you happen to look, stick straight, then someone who is in that realm of like that body standard is going to think that you are outside of that, so they will shame you for that. And just making you feel bad about your own body, your natural figure, making you feel like you're not a part of society and all that stuff. So that's my thoughts on what body shaming is. How about you?
For me, I feel like body shaming means like you're not confident within yourself and you're being judged for your body type because we all have different body types, so genetics is a huge factor. For
Absolutely.
me, I found that out later on that genetics is a huge factor into my body. So um, it gets challenging here and there, but you have to learn how to be confident within yourself because a lot of times the internet is not always good. So you start comparing yourself to other people. You don't
Yeah.
feel confident within yourself. You don't feel good about yourself. You don't want anything. You want to be like everybody else instead of just trying to be yourself.
Yeah.
If that makes yeah. So my question to you, my second question is: have you ever been body shamed?
Okay, so I only recall once where I was body shamed, like verbally, right in front of my face, like this kid that I actually used to go to school with in elementary school. So like I was getting ready for PE and I still had like maybe 30 minutes or an hour or whatever. And he had the nerve to tell me when I was dressed all cute that day, I don't know, I had like a whole tank top skirt with a belt and everything looked cute, but apparently he thought I looked fat. So he told me straight up that you were kind of fat. And I was like saying, "Oh, so I look fat now?" And he was telling me, "I mean, like you normally don't look fat, but that makes you look fat." Like just straight up. And like, okay, savage. Savage. Um I at first I was like, okay, just laugh it off and just leave. But like in my head, it kind of messed with me. And they say don't let words break you like that. But you can't help it. I mean, like you're in a vulnerable stage in your life. So when you're a freshman in high school, you're kind of like new to the whole high school thing and you're kind of trying to like find your way and you're trying to, identify who you are as a person. You're trying to kind of fit in or you're trying to see like, oh, who do I vibe with and like whatever. And at the same time it's like you're trying to find your own style, you're trying to find, what works for you, but at the same time you're kind of influenced by all these standards. So like if someone like me didn't happen to fit, the standard at the time, I get shamed for that. And so that, yes, that was my first encounter of somebody verbally insulting or shaming my body because I didn't apparently look a certain way that he had in mind. So I don't know, but that was just that one time, and that literally stuck with me until now. And I don't get phased by it now because now, when I'm working for my body, I'm not thinking, okay, I should do restriction, I should diet, I should do all these things to just achieve a certain image. For me, it's all about health because ultimately, as you get older, you're gonna have to keep up with your health, right? So like I have that in mind, but then I'm just saying at the time when I was a freshman in high school, when my hormones were kind of like all over the place, I was basically like a preteen turning to a teen where I'm just going to be super sensitive about those words. So like at the time I felt like for sure he body shamed me and I took that to heart and it kind of made me think of myself differently as if I'm not of the norm, like because at the time I was skinny, you know what I mean? Skinny was in. And I don't know how do you feel about that? Because I'm pretty sure you've had a couple. Maybe you've told me so.
I have had multiple people in school who used to self-pass that people, I don't think a lot of people understand. Okay. I remember in middle school, it all started in middle school, then it got worse in high school. In middle school, the group that we were hanging around with or whatever, there were these other kids at the time used to sit across from us. And they'll be like, because I used to eat salads every single day. They're like, oh my gosh, how do you eat salad every day? It's so fat. And I was just like, did this person really just call me fat?
That's
and
horrible.
like, it kept being constantly, how are you vegetarian and you're fat? How in the world you eat all this healthy stuff and you're still fat? And I'm just like,
oh my
why
gosh.
are you so concerned about my body so much? You know,
yeah,
it
that's
gets
why
to
I
the
can't
point
stand
where it's
either.
like, why are you so worried about me so much? Shouldn't you worry about yourself?
Yeah.
So at first it didn't really bother me because I'm just like, okay, you're clearly bored. You clearly don't have nothing else better to do, right? But then once we got to high school, it got worse, you know. Why are you constantly eating salad every day and you're still the same weight since high school? Now I'm just like, okay, you clearly are truly bored and clearly too worried about me too much, okay?
Yeah.
So later on, it started messing with me mentally because I'll be like, dang, am I getting fat? Because back then, the trend was wearing skinny jeans.
Absolutely.
So I could never fit skinny jeans at all. I really could never, ever. I would try my hardest to fit the skinny jeans. It would just never work. And I would be so frustrated with myself. And I used to not like shopping. Because if I couldn't fit skinny jeans, I wasn't cool like with everybody else at that time.
Yeah.
So it messed me emotionally and physically because I would compare myself to other people and wish I had the bodies that they had. But I found out later on it's genetics. Later on. I didn't know it because when you're a kid, so
no.
At that time you'd just be like, why am I getting attacked? Consistently. And I've always, used to just stand up for myself about it. But after I got to college, that's when I started feeling confident about myself and just doing better for me. That's like what I did. How did you overcome body shaming? How did you overcome it?
It actually took me years. I think it was way past high school and maybe a little bit first year college or something to really realize that I have been trying to do something for others rather than myself. And I had to come to a point where I had to just talk, give myself like a reflective moment. Or kind of just like reflecting on like, oh, so what have I been doing for all these years, blah, blah, blah. It would be super exhausting trying to try to fit in a certain standard, especially nowadays. So I was like, you know what, if I can't fit anyone's standard, might as well be my own standard or something. Because it seems like everyone's just trying to be like someone else. Everyone's trying to look like this celebrity. Everyone's trying to get this body right now. And you know how every year, standards change? And it's like, there's just a point where it's like, come on, let's think about it. Your genetics, like you said, make a huge difference. And you can do, all the diet and exercise, but ultimately, the way you're proportioned, the way you're built, and the way you distribute, fat and everything, muscle and blah, 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 you can't exactly fit a standard unless you do plastic surgery, Photoshop, and all that stuff. Let's be real.
Yeah.
And nowadays that's pretty evident. I don't want to call out so many people that are, using Facetune or Photoshop or claiming that they got this body because of just working out when they got, a butt lift or something. You know what I mean? Let's be honest.
Let's talk. Yeah. And let's talk about that real quick.
Oh gosh.
I think a lot of times we get on social media, right?
Yeah.
And we we follow these certain people. And I remember this documentary I watched. It's by Michelle the R&B singer.
Okay.
She did a whole show about how people did butt injections, and she did butt injections. Okay.
She admitted it
and
too.
And she almost died because
Oh
I think a lot of people realize when people, how can I say it? When people are constantly trying to be like everybody else, doing injections, doing this and doing that, people are not realizing how expensive that is and how horrible it is for your body.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's so sad. Like, I remember when I was watching the documentary, this lady on Michelle's show died.
Oh my
this
God.
One lady lost both her legs.
Oh.
This one lady lost both her arms. And it's because they all said, I want to get a butt. I want to be like this. I want to be like all the rappers. You know, like all these rappers have all the girls and all the guys. They just be dancing, whatever. You know, you get compared like, oh, you don't have a behind. Oh, you don't have a flat stomach. You know, all of these things.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times we look up to these celebrity people in a way, unless they're music and stuff like that. But then you start realizing how much body work they've actually done and how much they're literally killing and hurting themselves.
Yeah.
And it's consistently. You know, it ain't just high school and middle school, like people want to do all of this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Now it's like people in their 30s and 40s want to do this kind of stuff too. And it's like you have so much to live for.
Oh my
and
gosh.
People are not realizing on what you're actually saying, how it literally sticks with you.
Yeah.
And it consistently sticks with you because you're just like, I don't care what nobody else says, or well, I have to be this body. And once you do all these injections and all this kind of crazy stuff, right, you don't realize that you could really die with that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's really, truly sad to see. And I'm not saying just for women, I'm saying for guys too. Like, a lot of people like to, you know, get surgery consistently, and it's like you're not understanding how hard it is, you know, for your body to recover. Now, I'm not a doctor. We're not doctors. Put a disclaimer out. We're not doctors. We're not those kind of people. But however, it's challenging every single day when somebody's not being confident in themselves. So for me, I was in a situation where I was like, okay, am I not good enough because I'm not skinny?
Yeah, I felt that way too.
Am I gonna, you know, fit in with the popular crowd because I'm not skinny and everybody else was?
Yeah.
So after that, I started to just really truly ignore what people had to say.
Mm-hmm.
It gets challenging here and there when people say it to your face still, but I don't let it affect me like how it used to affect me back in middle school and high school.
I think back when we were more vulnerable to the words and when we weren't really confident within ourselves to begin with, so we kind of just let everyone else kind of dictate almost like how we should look, how we're supposed to do things in order to achieve their certain standard rather than our own standards.
Correct.
So, like, yes, I don't want to go off on a tangent because I tend to do that a lot. So in terms of like, how did I overcome the whole body shaming? I think there's just a point in your life where you're just kind of realizing, like, look, I mean, let's be honest. Not everyone's going to have the same body. Period. You can do all you want. You can get all the surgery you want. You can Photoshop all you want. But reality is, like, no one's body is going to look like everyone else's. Like, no one's just going to clone unless, you know, they do all the work, all that stuff, just to look a certain way. But to be honest, it's like it all just comes down to genetics and how we're just naturally built. Like you said. Like they said. And there was just a point in my life, I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to stop, you know, using social media like crazy just to kind of like refresh from all that, because it was kind of tearing me apart inside, because I seriously felt like I just could never fit into the standard, regardless. So I just came to the point where I'm like, you know, I'm not going to use social media to kind of like tell me, oh, this is how I should look. And I just stopped, going on it frequently, especially, going into nursing. I was like, I don't have time for this. And it's a waste of
Yeah.
time. It really is. Constantly
Yeah.
comparing, and it really takes a toll on your mental health too. So
It really does. Right.
yeah.
Right. So, what would you tell your younger self experiencing that kind of shame?
Oh gosh. Yeah, because it's been years since that one person kind of body shamed me. But I tell myself that a lot of the times the people that are saying these things, they're hurt inside and they want to kind of project that feeling towards you.
Yes.
They may not
Yeah.
really mean it from the bottom of their heart, unless they're just evil like that. But they may
Right.
not really mean it from the bottom of their heart. It's just a reflection of like how they're currently feeling or how they are as a person. It has nothing to do with you. And so I would tell myself, listen, like maybe that person had a bad day. Maybe they just felt like they wanted to say something bad because like who else can they say it to? I don't know. But I wouldn't try to just tell myself like don't take it personally because most of the time it's really not you that's the problem.
Yes.
So that's it.
Yes.
I think that's it. That's all I can say. I mean, like, I can't just, start going off and saying, like, yeah, I mean, don't let anyone tell you, blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't want to, like, say it like that. It's more like, just remember that it's not about you. It's not always about you. What they're saying about you that's rude, it has nothing to do with you. It's a reflection of how they're feeling or how they are. So, what would you, tell your younger self?
Oh, I was thinking about that the other day. Wow.
It's deep.
This is really, really deep. I
It
would
is.
say it's okay to be yourself. It's okay for the body type that you actually have.
Yeah, I agree.
And to not let somebody form your body that they did not create.
Yeah.
I would tell myself that because at that time, I was so quiet and I was shy. And I did not know how to stand up for myself verbally.
Right.
I did physically, but not verbally. And I would tell myself that it's okay for you to be who you are, and to never, ever, ever let anybody that did not create you to dictate who you're supposed to be.
Period.
That's what I'm telling you. So, okay, we have our last question.
Yeah.
Let's give some advice. What advice would you give somebody right now to all these people who's actually experiencing body shaming? Still to this day, like what would you tell these people?
As much as I want to really advise, okay, just ignore it because half of the time they're not going to ignore it. It's going to stick.
Yes.
But for me, it's like don't take it to heart if you can, and just don't hurt yourself in that process. Where it's like you're making those words hurt you to the point like, oh, I gotta like starve myself, or I gotta like, eat this and that to like lose, all these pounds and stuff so then I can finally fit the standard kind of thing. Like, don't hurt yourself in the process. It is not worth it. Yeah, that's what I would say. I think for the most part, it's like, do not let these words lead you into making bad decisions in which your body could suffer from it. So, like, that's a huge one, I'd say, because ultimately it's like if you are really taking this to heart and you're making this, affect you in some way, I just wouldn't want anyone to put themselves in a situation where they're like dieting to the point that they're starving or like they're doing all these crazy things because they think that they're not good enough. And I just say like, first of all, you are good enough. You are loved. It's like you are beautiful the way you are, and do not let any negativity get to you. Because honestly, again, it has to do with the person, the one who's bullying, basically, the one who's shaming. it's a reflection of how they feel. It really has nothing to do with you. And so what if you don't fit their standard? You have to think more about your well-being, your health, and like I just don't think anyone's standard should be put on you like that. Because it can break you, and that's not worth it. I think it's not worth it at all.
Right.
So, what about you? What advice would you give to those who are currently being body shamed or who have experienced it and moving forward, they probably deal with it or something?
I would tell people right now, I would say, don't let whatever happened in your past define who you are.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
I will also tell them to, you have to start loving yourself before you start loving somebody else.
Yeah, self-love.
Because half the time, you feel like you are in this place where you have to do everything else for somebody else to make themselves satisfied.
Yeah.
Friends, significant other, or
Yeah.
whoever you're with. Because a lot of times they could body shame you too sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say to a lot of people, you know what? Don't let those words dictate who you are. Be happy in your own skin. Because nobody else could be happy for you.
Yeah.
You only know who you are. You only know how you operate. You only know the emotions that you know, not nobody else knows.
Yeah.
So I would say start loving yourself each day. Do something in your life.
Do something that makes you happy.
Yourself. Yeah. You have to be happy with yourself. Because the more somebody else is going to try to keep telling you to be happy, you the one have to know it yourself and have to feel it yourself. Because it's easy to listen to somebody else and to be like, okay, be happy. But
right.
You have to be happy for yourself.
Like you have to try to seek your happiness, basically.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And my last note I will say is just do the best you can each day. Live your best life for you. And don't worry about anybody else, what they got to say, what they feel.
I agree.
Because at the end of the day, they ain't paying your bills. So
there we go. There we go.
They're not paying your bills. Don't worry about the people. Because they're going to be irrelevant regardless, no matter where you go.
Yeah, because it's like, it's so petty too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there's just a point where it's like, oh wow, you're being so ridiculous. It seems like you're so stuck on social media and blah, blah, blah. Like, this is honestly why I just decided to take almost a whole year off of just going on Instagram. I was sick of it. I was sick of seeing the same thing. People be looking the same.
Yeah.
Let's be real. Everyone's just starting to look the same. It's starting to look like as if they're just duplicating or something. I don't freaking know, but
right.
It's just gotten to that point where it's literally so irritating to see that I'm just like, I cannot. Like sometimes you just want to just log off for good.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until recently where I've come to this more positive mindset and just thinking more about my own well-being versus, what people think of me and all that stuff. To finally get back on social media and like posting, my own, way of blah, blah, blah. Like I don't have a certain standard I'm like trying to fit. I'm trying to fit my own damn standards. So, and it's really just about being stronger for me. Like, I think it's also the goal that you're setting. Like, make sure it has nothing to do with, like, trying to fit a certain standard.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's a big one. That's a really big one, for sure.
That's really, really good.
Yeah, like, because here's the thing. A lot of teens nowadays, they're so heavily influenced by social media. Like, think about it. There's TikTok. Yes. TikTok, first of all. It's everywhere.
Just in social media, I can't keep up. It's like they come
so many apps,
social media, and it's like, wow, like everybody just wants to be like everybody else now. Nobody ever wants to just be themselves. Now, even college people want to be like all these rappers.
Oh gosh, let's not
rap. And it's like, are you just doing it for you, or are you doing it for
attention?
Right.
It's really for attention. And that goes with the whole, body standards and why people are shaming each other's bodies, blah, blah, blah. Because they're all following a standard that's definitely not even achievable for those who are even setting the dang standard. Because think about it, they're getting work done. They have money to get that work done. They're
That stuff is
photoshopping.
so expensive.
And it's even worse because a lot of them don't claim that they've gotten work done.
No, they're not going to.
They don't claim that. And that's the problem because a lot of people who are so vulnerable, or like they're scrolling through their Instagram feed or going through TikTok and they're thinking like, these bodies must be real, blah, blah, blah. Because I mean, it looks real, but like then again, it's like you can literally Photoshop anything nowadays, and videos you can even like alter your body on the videos. It's insane.
Exactly.
So like, do not be fooled with what you see
Right.
at
With
all.
the internet. Because what people put out on the internet, it's not true.
Yeah, it's all like fake, and it's funny because even the ones that are so like up there, like the biggest influencers we know,
Yeah.
they're they're kind of being called out by certain people that they're actually photoshopping even their videos too. So it's like,
Yeah, and then two, just last little note, I'm gonna say this too. People on the internet, a lot of them, I'll be honest, they're all not living like how they actually rap
there
about.
we go.
Half these people, what people didn't realize and understand, they will be leasing their houses, leasing their cars, all kind of stuff. So it's like, don't get caught up on all that stuff, y'all. Do not. Because it's not always true.
Yeah.
Not everybody in that influencer or entertainment is really truly living like that. So don't, get out your budget to do this and do that and all this other kind of stuff.
Like, don't get yourself in a predicament. Don't get yourself in financial issues because you're seeing what people are doing.
It's expensive to get out of.
Yeah, and clearly it's like they're probably struggling on their own. They're just trying to keep up with a lifestyle that clearly that they can't afford. You know what I mean? Like, it's really all for show. For show. Yeah, it's all for show. It's all for attention. It's all to be relevant. And everyone would be trying to copy each other regardless of their financial status, which is a little bizarre.
Right. You gotta be happy with your own skin.
But yes, bottom line. So for body standards, I don't think I agree with it at all. And I think it's very harmful, especially for the youth, especially for those who are always on Instagram or TikTok or even Facebook. They're starting to show up on there too. YouTube Reels, Instagram Reels. Yeah, do not get fooled with what you see. And most of the things that you see are just for show. So.
Exactly.
You know when they say there's actors and they're just acting? It's basically the same thing. Like, these influencers or these people that are on Instagram right now, a lot of it's just acting. A lot of it. So if you see a body and you think that's real, but something looks a little off, most likely there's something off.
Exactly.
Like, don't get super, like, convinced with everything you see. I mean, like, I'm just being repetitive here, but I'm just trying to reiterate the point here I'm trying to make, which is just do not be fooled with what you see.
Exactly.
And be your own standard. Be grateful for your own genes. Be grateful for your own, blessed body, everything. Just be grateful for what you have. Bottom line. Yeah.
Yes.
So today was a little bit of a chill day, as you can tell. I'm not really feeling myself. I feel like you can see that through the video, but we have those days, and like I was already debating whether to like actually film today and blah blah. We all have those moments. So if you guys kind of sense that, that's probably why. A little bit off. But I can't complain. I can't complain because Algernon just started his night shift and he's telling me all these kinds of things.
Yeah. Just trying to make it.
Yeah, he's surviving. He's doing really well, and I told him he's a really strong person for even like enduring something like that because it's not easy doing night shift. And pretty soon I'm gonna be doing night shift too in my residency, so it's kind of you'll not be seeing a lot of happiness. Just kidding. Too much.
Yeah, it's an adjustment. But stay tuned, y'all. We'll have more videos to come, and stay positive. I'm gonna leave this note real quick. Love God, okay? Love yourself, and live your best life for you.
Absolutely. Do not let anyone influence you into thinking a certain way or to not be who you are, because you are good enough, and do not let anyone tell you otherwise.
That's right. All right,
So,
you guys.
yes.
This is Algie.
And this is Nona.
And we're closing our episode, y'all. Hope y'all have a great day.
Look forward to future episodes, but for now, like, comment, sub for more content like this on the Nona and Algie Talk Show.
Yes. Bye,
See ya.
y'all.